Thank you, Ed. It is now 7:14, and the city of Jackson is making preparations for severe weather during this week. It is called Fall Severe Weather Preparedness Week, and joining me to discuss how you can stay safe is Warren Miller of the city of Jackson. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
Good. I'm so glad you come in this morning. It's nice to see you.
Thank you.
All right. So go ahead and tell me a little bit about this week that you have in order to keep us safe.
Well, this week we're doing preparedness. It's Fall Preparedness Severe Weather Week. Our goal and focus is to share with the public about having emergency disaster kits, having communications plans, being informed about the risk. So right now we're in a period whereas in the fall you'll have tornadoes. We're encouraging the public to be alert to the sirens that's in their communities. We have severe weather notification systems. Code Red is a system that we have that we encourage that they go and register. If severe weather approaches the city, it will send a notification via text or email to them so they can go onto our website, the jacksonms.gov, and register for that, and that can help them to be prepared.
All right, and when we're saying severe weather and these extreme conditions, we're not just talking about tornadoes. We're not just talking about, the backlash of hurricanes. We're talking about thunderstorms. High winds, hail. What are some of the precautions we can take for some of those things? Because they can be quite damaging as well.
Well, right now, the biggest piece is in your community, you know what those risks are. Basically, if those elements come into the community, being familiar with where to go to, how to escape, having familiarity with the shelters that's in the community. So those are some of the things that we're encouraging.
Yes, sir. So say we have a tornado watch and one touches down. Mm-hmm. A family in their home, what is the best way to be prepared for that?
Well, the notification piece is that the county has siren systems that we would want them to be familiar with where those sirens are, to take heed, to have a NOAA radio that will do alerts just to make sure that they heed the warnings of if those sirens are there, that the National Weather Service has probably cited, take shelter, get into a area that they don't have windows that's going to keep them safe.
Ideally, that would be the bathtub,
bathrooms,
basements,
or hallways. If you have a basement, you want to go to the lower level. If you don't, you want to avoid windows and things like that.
Yes, sir. And jumping from that into winter, I guess you could say we experience icy roads. I know that's a big concern, and I know that you're familiar with the whole Atlanta thing. We don't want to end up like that. We're not as big as Atlanta, but we still don't want our highways to have that destruction like they had. So when it comes to road safety, what would you say when the roads start getting icy?
Well, in many cases, we're going to be collaborating with the schools, basically because of the kids and the buses. So right now, you want to make sure that you just take heed to if we're suggesting that you don't drive on the roads, that you don't get out. So in many cases, we're collaborating with MDOT, with the county, with the state, basically assessing that it's safe. We're going to be taking heed for the public safety, to make sure that people are not getting out.
Yes, sir. And I was looking in this book, and there was something also about lightning. How dangerous can that be?
Well, lightning is one of those unknowns. You don't know where it's going to strike. So weather conditions forecasts are basically predicting that they're out. In many cases, they're telling people, surprising, don't get under trees and things like that. So the best piece is the heat. If there's severe weather, shelter in the proper places. Avoid getting in trees. Obviously, we want to tell people to just be mindful and heed the warnings that we get with the weather service and things like that.
Yes, sir. And I know we were also talking about it's important for people to have evacuation plans. Tell me about how important that is, and what do they need to do to comprise that as a family?
Well, many cases you want to be familiar with your community. How you may go to school, go to work could be affected. So you want to be familiar with alternative routes. Communications of if you leave and something is going on, basically who to contact. Sometimes if something was, it could be a hazardous situation that you need to evacuate, having discussed with your family and the family members about where you want to meet. You think about fires. If you evacuate the house, where that rendezvous place is. If you have to evacuate, so the biggest piece is the previous communication. It could be that something might happen that you got to leave the immediate area. Communicating with, having people outside to say, we're okay, here's where we're at. So those are some things that you want to think about in advance.
And tornado season is when?
Well, tornado season.
Are we in it?
Well, November to February is an active season, and then you'll have another window back in the spring. So these are times that right now, preparedness, we want to basically encourage people to have a disaster kit, have, water, food, things, thinking about the kids and the pets, having a plan, the communications, as well as evacuation, and being informed about those community risks.
And this disaster kit, what is in there?
Well, you want to think about water, food items. If you've got canned meats and things, you want to have something that you can open, crackers, emergency papers. If you have your insurance, things like that. So if you evacuate, one of the biggest things that we always encourage is ATMs don't work if electricity is not. So emergency cash that you can have should you need to evacuate, that you can, you'll have those resources available to you.
Yes, sir. Now, with this week, is there any events or anything that you might be having to get the word out with this here?
Most of it right now is basically the preparedness is just making people aware that we're in a window, that this is Severe Weather Preparedness Week, about establishing a disaster kit, understanding the importance of the communications plan with the family, where you're going to go, if you need to go to a shelter, being familiar with, understanding how to get in contact with those emergency, like your county emergency management agency. In the city, we've got 311, so knowing who to contact, and just being informed about the community, the risk in your area.
Oh, yes, sir. Well, this was some great information this morning. I really appreciate it. I think I'm ready for the severe weather to hit us, so thank you for joining me this morning. Make sure you stay with us. We're going to take a break, but when we return, we have so much more in store, and Rob J will be right here with us. Don't move.